My bad, y'all. What up, y'all? Y'all already know who it is. It is Kashmere. Man, Damian Moody. I also go by Kashmere Majesty or Ron Hood. I'm back again with another live video. Y'all already knew I do a Kashmere read session where I'll pick one out of several books that I have, and whatever I choose, I'll read at least maybe one or two chapters or whatever. I'll read until I don't feel like reading no more, and I'll take my breaks here and there and give my opinion on what I read or share stories if I can relate to something. And then in this live stream, I am back again with a book I read yesterday, or I started reading yesterday. This is My Sister Tommie, The Real Tammi Terrell by Ludie Montgomery and Vicky Wright. Um, Pretty much, this is Tammi Terrell's sister giving her side of the story of Tammi Terrell. In this book, she speaks on the truth. She clears up any rumors and information that is not accurate when it comes to her sister, and she just felt like she wanted to write a book to tell the real story from beginning to end, with the help of Vicky Wright. And it's a foreword by Dion Work, which I read in the first video. This is part two of, once again, My Sister Tommie, The Real Tammi Terrell. This is the front of the book. It has some pictures of Tammi Terrell, and then it's a younger picture of her and her sister with a quote from her sister that I read in the first video. This is the second expanded edition book. All right. Chapter 2, I'm going to be a star. We had fun-filled adventures as children because of Tommie. She was creative and imaginative, and I never knew what we were going to get into. I would follow anything Tommie wanted to do. I was a shy and passive counterpart to Tommie's adventurous and daring personality. I was much too quiet and bashful to instigate some of the things that Tommie got us involved in. Our cousin Grace always, our cousin Grace says I was just a pest and a brat. I wanted to hang out with the other girls. Tommy and I often would take long walks and play in our neighborhood. It was safe to do back in those days. One especially sunny afternoon, my sister and I were strolling along Broad Street near the Uptown Theater. We noticed a huge black car. I believe it was a Cadillac. The car was covered in autographs with different color paint. We later found out that the car belonged to a headliner of the show, Fats Domino. He was appearing at the Uptown for a week. Also performing were Mickey and Sylvia. They were an R&B couple known for their duets. Their biggest hit was Love is Strange. It was one of my sister's earliest influences. And what a coincidence that Tommie became the queen of duets in her musical career. Tommie was always the curious one, so of course she suggested that we go around backstage to see if we could get a peek at the stars. Tommie decided to sneak in. As always, I tagged along just for the heck of it. Sylvia spotted us trying to sneak in the back door and grabbed Tommie by the arm. Tommie immediately told Sylvia that she was her biggest fan. She pleaded with Sylvia, please don't sell security. Our daddy will whip us blue. Sylvia felt sorry for us, I guess. Tommie's big brown eyes must have gotten to her and had some effect. The next thing I knew, she invited us into the backstage area and introduced us to some of the people in the show. We got to meet Fats Domino. His song "Ain't That a Shame" was a popular tune. He was a very kind and jovial gentleman. We met Mickey too. He winked at us. We just gazed at him starry-eyed. We didn't stay long before Sylvia hurried us along and escorted us out the door. As we skipped home, Tommie declared confidently, I'm going to be a star. Sure, I said to her. I had to skip faster just to keep up with her. During this time was another one of my mother's hospital stays. Life was beginning to become a strain on my father, two children and a wife who was not well. We were whisked off to Aunt Olive's house. The Germantown house is where we grew up. This was Mom's house she owned with her brother Wendy and Alice. Tommie felt this was home. I feel most comfortable here. This is my home now. We went to school and church here. This is where most of our friends live. We live here for the majority of the time. Wendy, Alice, and my mother bought it in the early 1940s. I'm honored to still live here and call this home. I feel relaxed here. Okay, so I'm guessing. Okay. We spent a lot of time in the backyard and garden where we had a peach tree and grapes that hung on vines from which our mother would make the most pungent wine during her well times. There was plenty of fruit in due season. There was also a beautiful flower garden that ran along the front of the gate. It was filled with roses, geraniums, lilies, and other fragrant flowers that my Aunt Alice tended in the early evenings. She also grew a very nice vegetable garden. Alice insisted that Germantown was safer for Tommie and me. Germantown was a section of the city that was settled by the German population in colonial times. The Battle of Germantown was fought here, and every year there was a reenactment of that battle held in our area, which is a constant reminder of the rich history that envelops this part of the city. The move from North Philly to Germantown was actually uplifting for us. I remember one time Aunt Alice asked Tommie, why are you so sad all the time? Tommie replied, I'm just lonesome, that's all. I think we both felt the absence of our mother at that time. Tommy felt the void and tried to fill it. She always needed people and felt the need to be loved and validated by others. She always needed people around her. I didn't look to people to fill that need. What we witnessed with our mom was hard. It's an emotional pain that is hard to explain. You need your mother in your life. I know Tommy had bouts of loneliness. I felt the aloneness, sadness, and the quiet in her illness. I was able to be a loner more or less. It was so hard for me to make friends. Daddy stepped in and brought us three doves. We named them Huey, Louie, and Dewey. Daddy had small pond built for the doves. They somehow were magical for Tommy. Each one lifted her spirits and pulled her out of her slump. The ducks were just so very funny. They were always around. They made us so happy and made us laugh. They would chase us around the yard and peck at us. They even pulled down our clothes. They were part of the family. Our ducks were like other people, dogs, or cats. We began to track other kids from the neighborhood, and soon we had lots of company and friends. Tommy put a soapbox in the backyard and sang to get attention. She thrived on that. She sang a fragile tune songs she learned at church and commercial jingles. Showing off for friends and family by singing and performing became a daily activity for her. She had to be a center of attention, and she acted just like a star. This is where she found her joy. Singing even for one person made her very joyful. We began to attract many friends in our new neighborhood, and we both had plenty of friends. Tommy had Butch, Ron, Peggy, and our cousin Grace because of our age difference. Our friends were separate. Mine consisted of Cookie, Burl, Carolyn, Dina, and Sparky. Wow, I had just as many friends as Tommy now, and my loneliness seemed to dissipate. We spent many summer days spurring each other with the garden hose and playing for what seemed like endless days. We would terrorize the neighbors and steal food from their yards. We engaged in many games with our pals. There was hopscotch, old mommy witch, devil in the eggs, jacks, and of course hide and seek. Honeysuckle grew wild in most of the yards, and oftentimes we would have just plain good old fun sucking the nectar from this wonderful blossom. That's crazy because I remember where I went to school at in certain areas they used to grow honeysuckle. And that's the first time I ever had it. The first time and the last time. Tommy was always in charge when we played. She was the boss. She would tell me and the other kids what we would play. If I wanted to play something else, she'd say, "Shut up, Ludie, we're playing giant steps," and that's that. I think most girls follow what an older. Uh, uh, I think most girls follow what an older sister tells them to do. And that was me. One summer evening, she made me beat up my friend Cookie. Cookie would beat me up every day. And Tommie said to me, Ludie, I'm so sick and tired of Cookie beating you up. You are going to knock her lights out or I'm going to kill you. I believe everything Tommie said to me. I didn't want Tommie to kill me, so I beat up Cookie. Tommie would get into fights often. I was too afraid of getting hurt. My friend Cookie never bothered me again. She became one of my dearest friends. We had some nice parties at our house. We would have them outside at night and have nice little lights in the backyard. Or we had daytime garden parties. I remember one party where some boys came, where older boy, where some boys came who were not invited. Daddy came home and kicked them out. They were older boys and they got a little too wild and broke a window. Often we would go to Aubrey Park, tucked away in the historic Germantown neighborhood of Northwest Philly. The park has small hills and cliffs that we like to explore. I once slipped off one of the cliffs, and Tommie and her friends had to make a human ladder to lift me to safety. Grace must have been talking about things such as this when she said I was a pest. Our family regularly attended church, and we were raised with a strong belief in God. Tommie and I attended Sunday school class, and we sang in the choir. I didn't quite grasp the full significance of church or what it was all about, but Tommie received many awards and accolades from the school and church. She always wanted to be outstanding. We were both enrolled in a Cheryl Gaines School of Ballet, and Tommie took ballet so seriously. How long is this chapter? Alright, so they added a lot of paintings of Tammi Terrell in this book. She is very competitive and would have to do the solos and be front and center up on the stage. I was content being in the background with everyone else. I was happy just being part of the group. We were also enlightened by our father that piano lessons were nice for little girls. Daddy brought us a Wurlitzer, which I still have to this day. Looking back, I think it was my father's way of being supportive while mommy was not well. Mr. Jesse Jones, who resided in the next block, was one of our music instructors. Either I had difficulty catching on or I just simply was not interested in piano. Tommie excelled at the piano. Our house became music central. Tommie would compose songs and play for hours. Our neighbors would stop by to listen. I and Alice would be at work, and Tommie would be on the piano mostly in the summer months. Our cousin Grace and all the kids would be there. Lots of music and singing and dancing. The doors would be wide open, and lots of people would congregate at our house. Tommie would make up songs. She knew all of the popular songs too. A lot of the doo-wop type of songs and standards. Songs like In the Still of the Night and Tears on My Pillow. She performed music all by ear. She could hear a song once and then play it from memory on the piano. That's why in talent shows she would ask them what they wanted to hear. She would memorize, she would mesmerize her listeners with her talent. Tommie was really into entertaining mode now. She appeared on the TV show here in Philly called The Children's Hour. She was the only little black girl on there. She was singing tap dance. It was a rarity in talent show. She sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, Moon River, and of course she did The Good Ship Lollipop and A Tasket. She loved listening to old records. She had a lot of 45s, and at a very young age, she loved Gloria Lynn and Ella Fitzgerald. Ella was Tommie's all-time favorite singer. She idolized her and said that Ella was the absolute best singer who ever lived. She also liked Dinah Washington and Sarah Vaughan. She listened to Billie Holiday as well. She could impersonate and emulate anyone to the T when she was performing. She absolutely loved and admired the glamour of Lena Horne and Dorothy Dandridge. I can see that. The Children's Hour originated in 1948. The show was hosted by Stanley Broza and closed with the children singing Childhood, Sweet Days of All. Children playing hide and seek and ball. Tripping to school, so married. The golden rule to study. Oh, how we'll miss the years of bliss. Our childhood days are gone. And then they have a painting of Timmy Terrell with black shades on and a white dress with, I guess, red hearts. All right. Well, that's that. I am going to try to finish this up probably later on today, or I might pick another book to read. I just wanted to get that out the way. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, and I'll get back to you on the next one.